Hey kids, it's Papa. You ready to explore the Bible? All right. Well, yesterday, not yesterday, yeah, yesterday, JJ got some extra credit. So well done, JJ. Melody, you and Arthur just answered the basic questions and didn't even try for extra credit. What a shame. In any case, well done, JJ. Well, let's take a look today at First Kings chapter 12. First Kings chapter 12. Now, remember, Solomon had asked for wisdom, and God had given him wisdom, but he really didn't use the wisdom the way he ought to have because he disobeyed and he multiplied horses and chariots and silver and gold and wives. And he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. And wow. And sure enough, exactly what God said would happen happened. They turned his heart away from God. And he built temples for strange gods right there in Israel. And God had to judge him. Now remember, he went and told Jeroboam that he was going to give him 10 of the 12 tribes. And so Jeroboam, got a little bit mouthy in front of Solomon, and Solomon tried to kill him. So Jeroboam ran off to Egypt where he could be safe. And, he waited because he knew Solomon would die. And sure enough, Solomon died. And we read about that in the end of chapter 11. Solomon got old. He reigned for 40 years, which is an amazing thing. And then he died. When he died, he had determined that his son Rehoboam was going to reign. Now, Rehoboam and Jeroboam were not brothers. That wasn't a last name. That was their first names. And so all of Israel came to Shechem, and there they were going to anoint Rehoboam king over all of Israel. So take a look with me, if you will, in 1 Kings chapter 12, starting verse 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass that when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, heard about it, sure enough, he comes back up out of Egypt. But notice in verse 3, and they sent and they called him, and Jeroboam, and Rehoboam said to Solomon, notice what he says in verse 4, thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee. And he said unto them, depart yet for 3 days, and then come again to me. And the people departed. So that was smart. Let me think about that. Yeah, come back in 3 days, and I'll tell you. That was a good thing to do. But notice what he does. Verse 6, and Rehoboam consulted with the old men that had stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and saying, how do you advise that I may answer this people? Now, this was brilliant, and Rehoboam did a good, smart thing here, and that was that he asked the men who had spent time around his wise father. Okay? If you're ever going to get wisdom from people who are around other wise people. Okay? That just makes sense, right? So he goes to them, and they say, okay, he said, what should we do? And they said, here's what you do. If you tell them what they want to hear right now, because your kingdom is not really solidified, if you tell them what they want to hear now, they will serve you. And then once, your kingdom is solidified, you can do what you want. But it's important right now that you tell them what they want to hear. Okay? Now, that was a smart thing for him to do as king, because, with politics being what politics are, that would have been a wise thing. But then Rehoboam thought, I'm going to ask my buddies, the friends that I grew up with, the people who, the strange thing is that they had no more wisdom than he had. But he asks them, and they said something completely different. They said, ooh, if you're easy on them now, they'll run all over you in the future. And so now you need to be hard on them, and then you can be easier in the future if you want to. But Be hard on them now. And so, stupid Rehoboam, he listened to the young people instead of the old people that had the wisdom. And sure enough, he said, "Come on back in. It's been 3 days, guys. Let me tell you what we're going to do. You think my dad was rough on you? Tell you, my dad's thigh is going to be thinner than my little finger. In other words, I am going to really come down on you. You are going to pay me taxes, and you are going to do all of these things." And when the Israelites heard that, they said, "To your tents, O Israel. What have we to do with Jesse?" Okay? This was the great-great-grandfather of Rehoboam. Okay? And so they said, "We're not going to serve you." And they rebelled. Now, we're going to see how they rebelled in the days to come. But what I want you to see here is that if you want to be wise, listen to wise people. And if you are needing to make decisions, talk to wise people. Talk to older people that have been around. And there's just been so many times when I've gone to people that were older and I've talked to them and they've told me things and I've thought, okay, there's some wisdom there. And I have made some wise decisions because I have talked to wise people. So, who are you going to talk to? You going to talk to fools? Or are you going to talk to wise people? I would encourage you to be wise by getting your advice from wise people. Okay? Hey, love you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.